Welcome back, Galaxy Brains. We are the Film Lovers Guide to the Galaxy, always joined here by Jared and Joe. And we're actually going to do something a little bit new for the next several episodes here. But before I explain all that, we start the show off like we always do with me asking Joe the ultimate question. Joe, what's grinding your gears this week?
It's insurance.
I got my teeth cleaned this week, Joe.
Good. Do that twice a year, please. Not only is cleaning your teeth just for cleaning your teeth, for them to check to see if there's something's wrong. Okay, let's keep that in mind. Insurance, and for you guys here, I hope that you guys don't have to deal with this bullshit. But insurance fucking sucks, and I think a lot of Americans don't understand. First of all, I think a lot of Americans are stupid because they do stupid things. They like hurting themselves.
Except for you guys listening to this podcast, you were not.
So the people listening to this podcast, and assuming that there's Americans here and also the people outside America, let me explain to you what American medical health insurance is. Okay, there's really four parts to it. Okay, and you guys may or may not know. Number one, there's something called copay. What copay is just a flat fee you pay for any office visit. This could be anywhere from $20 to $60. You go see a doctor, you pay a copay. It's out of your pocket. Two, there's something called a monthly premium. This straight up is a cost you pay to have access to American insurance. Not to pay for anything, just to have access to it. This can cost you anywhere from $200 to $500 a month, okay? But for a lot of people listening, they're like, I don't pay $200 to $500 for a premium. It's because you're probably employed by somebody. So if you go through an employer, this can cost you like $30 to $50 a month. You're paying $30 to $50 a month just to have access to insurance. Three, there's something called an annual deductible. This is what's something you straight up pay out of pocket. If your annual deductible is like $2,000, basically what that means is for that year, anything you go to the office for, you pay out of pocket. You go get a doctor's checkup and they give you some meds that cost $200. You pay $200. Insurance pays fucking nothing. So insurance is still scamming you. Four, it's something called maximum out of pocket. Basically, after you go through your $2,000, anything past the $2,000, the insurance company will be like, all right, we will cover 80% of this. You guys still pay 20%. So it still fucking sucks. Insurance in America fucking sucks. This is coming from a guy who's gonna I'm gonna be a dentist. I just work with fucking insurance all the time. It fucking sucks. It's horrible. So a lot of people are asking, like, what's it good for? American insurance is good for one thing and one thing only. Huge, giant fucking injuries. Okay? Example. Let's again, this I hope it doesn't apply to anyone.
No, it applied to me. So a few years ago on Christmas, what happened is I had a wisdom tooth that was partially out and partially in.
Okay.
And over the years, food kept getting stuck in there. My dentist goes, you couldn't have cleaned it because it just it was impacted and it was here, partially in, partially out. Well, one Christmas it just decided, boom, it was just going to split open and it was like infected and it was like literally the worst pain I've ever felt in my life.
Dental pain, man, it sucks.
I went, I was just like contorting my body. Like I just, I just couldn't handle it. So I needed oral surgery. So I go to oral surgeon and I didn't have insurance.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I needed all 4 wisdom teeth pulled.
Yeah, and if you go to private practice, it's stupid. Now, dental, even worse, dental insurance and medical insurance is billed separately too.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So if you have premium medical insurance and you don't have dental, you still pay dental straight out of pocket.
Yeah. I called an emergency room. I was like, hey, this is what's happening. They're like, we can't do anything for you. That's a dental emergency. And I'm like, what the fuck are you?
Like I'll get to your thing in a second. But for example, if someone has a cancer and it costs like $100,000 a year to cover all your medical shit, right? What do? You pay the copay, you pay the maximum annual deductible, and you pay the maximum out of pocket immediately. Let's say that costs you like $20,000 a year, okay? And the insurance covers $80,000. You're like, that's a pretty good deal. Well, no, you have cancer. And 2, you got to hope to God that you don't lose your job while this happens. Yeah. And 3, when the year resets, you pay that $20,000 again. And so even in the best case scenario where you're getting the best deal out of this, you're still getting boned. Fucking sucks. Now, to Jared's credit, if anyone else has a problem where you have your fucked up wisdom teeth, go to a school, a dental school, a local dental school. make an appointment to get those out. It should cost you out of pocket $119 per tooth.
Holy shit. But are they going to fuck me up, though?
Knocking you out costs $115 every 15 minutes. But they're going to knock you out for about 45 minutes. It's way cheaper than a private practice.
Than the $4,000 I paid.
Exactly. Now, the difference is you're going to be getting a resident instead of a guy that's been doing it for 20 years. But to my knowledge, it's about the same. Just putting it out there, guys. Now,
yeah, like the resident's not going to absolutely fuck my mouth.
No, they're going to do a perfectly good job. Now, I only recommend that to specialty stuff. Do not. Oh God, I really shouldn't say this.
Get your teeth cleaned at a.
No, teeth clean is fine. Do not go to a dental school to get fillings.
Oh,
ever.
I just got real sweaty and man, that's gonna hurt. Ooh,
yeah, don't
because they don't know your history. Yeah,
it's just because they don't. Even myself included, we don't do a good job. It takes quite a lot of practice. Cleaning, okay, and most getting braces, 100% go to a school. Getting oral surgeon, 100% go to a school. Everything else sucks. Anyways, yes, that's my rant for the day. American insurance fucking sucks. What can you do about it? Vote. But, there's anti-vaxxers out there, so what can I say? You guys are fucking morons sometimes.
I love it. Jared, what have you been watching, consuming this week?
I've been catching up on a lot of podcasts, mostly Hardcore History. I'm on the Japan series that he's been doing. It's really good. Again, watching a lot of Olympics. I'm mowing my way through Persona 5 Royal because I have another week or two on break before I go back to teaching. And then what I did watch today was the Y the Last Man trailer that dropped based on the comic book series. It's going to be a TV series on FX, and it looks pretty good. For those of you who've never read it, it's basically an event happens where every single man on the face of the earth is killed in 1 minute in one fell swoop. You don't really know what happened. And it's all women left except for one man and his male monkey. And there's all what happens to the earth. It's really, really good. Highly recommended. It's written by Brian K. Vaughan, who's currently writing Saga, also a really good one. He did Ex Machina, also one of my favorite comic book series. He's a really, really prolific comic guy. Other than that, other than what we watched today, I watched There Will Be Blood again. I mean, that movie is absolutely fantastic. And tell me, hey, other than it being in the same year as the Oscars, why does that movie get compared to No Country for Old Men so much?
Did it come out around the same time?
It's the same year. So they were going up against the Oscars against each other. But there's literally, other than that, there's no reason why those two movies should be compared.
I don't know. They're both very good movies coming out at the same time. That's all I really got.
Old California and Texas landscape apparently look the
same. I guess.
But the themes are not even the same in both of these movies.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how people get confused.
Maybe the title being a oddly similar-ish. There Will Be Blood. No Country for Old Men. I don't know. You make a good point. That does come up a lot.
I actually went to the theater and went to go see The Green Knight. Green Knight is David Lowery's kind of retelling of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight.
I got a bone to pick with the general populace of this film, but go ahead.
I think, as of right now, we're mid-July. It is the best movie I've seen so far in 2021. It is that great. It is so great that I actually want to go into a theater and see it again. This is how good it is. I will say this. I know this isn't my segment for what grinds my gears, but this is what really bothered me when I went to go see that movie. Look, I get it. It's been a year plus since this pandemic. I get it. You guys want to go out with friends, blah, blah, blah. But I ask you as a common courtesy, if you're going out with a group of 6, 8 people to go see a movie, there's always going to be that one person that's going there because they don't want to feel left out. Not because they want to see this movie. First of all, it's an A24 movie. You know what kind of movie you're getting into when it's produced by this studio. Second off, you got to shut your friend up. Because if you don't, I will shut them up for you. It's one thing to think the movie's boring. It's another thing to talk about your friend Kimberly cheating on her best friend like Dave. I'm like, please, not here, not now. I get it. You want to go someplace. Plus, you can't even use the excuse that, oh, I'm trying to stay cool. I watched this movie at like 7 o'clock at night in Huntington Beach. Huntington Beach doesn't get hot that crazy during the summer, especially that night. So, GTFO.
I mean, it's gotten pretty warm in recent years, but this summer has been quite mild. It's been
correct.
Very nice.
Because I'm afraid of September now. I feel like it's going to get pushed a month. So,
it's going to be an absolute nightmare.
But yes, if you ever decide to go see movies with a group of 6-7 people that is not a blockbuster movie a la the Avengers, please don't. Because I know there's one person there that doesn't want to see that movie. And I'm pretty sure that friend there is like just thinking about other things to do. What's your gripe about the movie, Jared?
My gripe is that these people are freaking, A24. It's like I get it. You appreciate the films that this studio puts out, sure, but they have no say in the direction, in the writing, in any of that. And these people act like they do, and it's taking away from these people, these directors, these screenwriters, these actors that are creating these movies. Like, they act like they put The Green Knight out, and it's like, yeah, it's that type of movie. Like, bro, they just put out Minari last year. Like, those two movies are not the same.
Correct.
Like, oh my God. It's just like fanning over a multi-billion-dollar, million-dollar organization and being like, oh, I'm going to do it. Like, that just is real weird to me. That's like you being like, that's like people simping for like Burger King, you know? Hey, man, or like Subway. Like, shit, like, oh yeah, like I can have a favorite like sandwich artist, but like like I'm not, yeah, fuck out Subway, yeah, they're the best. Like, I don't know, that's a shitty comparison, like it's just off the top of my head, but like, come on, that's like having my favorite podcast right here, last podcast on the left, back there. That's like me saying, fuck yeah, Spotify, I love Spotify, because they put out their podcast. It's insane to me that these people just simp over this company. And same thing with like Legendary and Lionsgate and this and that. It's like, be fans of artists, not companies. That's True. Just my gripe.
No, I hear you. I think they just have produced a lot of good movies, which a lot of it is because they give their directors a lot of leeway, which is funny because if you guys go see The Green Knight, there's actually a lot of alum from A24 because Alicia Vikander's in there, Ralph Ensign, people that you've seen from like The Witch. Joel Edgerton is another one that's been part of these movies. But yes, it is a little crazy because when we have people like go nuts over supporting Disney movies, we think they're crazy, but then you're doing the same thing with a smaller studio thing, right? So yeah, support the artists, but if you guys do want to go see a movie in theaters, skip Jungle Cruise, really check out The Green Knight. This is a fabulous movie. What about you, Joe? What have you been watching this past week?
2 movies is a lot for me, so I've been watching those 2 movies you guys suggested.
To be fair, they were very long movies.
Yeah. And then I watched the weekly, I'm going to tell us all the time, Schmigadoon, still a big fan. On Apple TV, it sounds stupid, but I like it. I watch Rick and Morty every week. I've been rewatching Archer for some reason. I don't know if it's because I think it's on Hulu. I think throughout the week I watch some sort of series. I watched Friends a couple times. I watched Parks and Rec a couple times, and I watched The Office a couple times. Blah blah. So I think I just sort of moved on, try to move on to something else, and I just sort of latched on to Archer. I've also been trying to keep up with Ted Lasso, and it's fantastic, like always. And I started Mythic Quest.
Mythic Quest is so funny.
It's because I like Sunny, and I the fact that they brought the stuff people in, and I'm only like 3 episodes in or something like that. And
F. Murray Abraham, the old guy, I love him in that show.
He's such a novelist in that show,
dude.
No, I think I'm not sure about all that product placement, but I'm sure it pays for the show and all that kind of stuff. But No, it's great. I think it's a slow watch for me. So I think I just take it one at a time. Funnier than I anticipated. So I suggest it. I very much like it, and I think it sort of has some sort of sunny vibes to it, I suppose, just because there's the same characters. But yeah, highly recommend it. That's what I've been watching for the week.
I will say that this next week I saw that Pig is on Amazon finally, so to rent for $6.99. So I will have a review of that next week because people are saying it's like Nick Cage's like best role he's ever been in, and I'm a huge fan of Mandy and his other stuff.
Yeah, the
We
last
need to
time
have
they
like
said that was Mandy, and I was like, Mandy's really good. So
we need to have like a Nick Cage month or something because damn, I'm very excited to watch this.
like I was mentioning at the top of the podcast, we're going to change things up a little bit with the way we talk about movies. I want us to embrace and expand the galaxy portion of our name. That being that we were going to show two movies or talk about two movies each week. One of the movies is a revisit, uh, preferably from one of our hosts that probably didn't like it upon first viewing. And then the second movie would be a movie that one of the hosts is seeing for the first time. Now, that actually would actually fall onto both with Joe this week. We were talking about Paul Thomas Anderson. So, with Paul Thomas Anderson, Joe, you've seen three of his movies before, which were Boogie Nights, Punch Drunk Love, and There Will Be Blood. Okay, what did you think of those movies in general, and as a director, his work?
Thing is, so I feel like I had a very very I'll say a narrow view on his directing because I liked them. They were very very good. It's it it seemed like he had a certain style to his movies and some comedy, some seriousness, and I liked everything he did thus far. Now, what I do want to say is that outside of those three movies, I never really watched anything else. So that's saying something. But overall, I liked it very much. So I went into the two movies thinking, oh hey, this can be pretty cool and pretty nice. So I had sort of high expectations. Is what I'll say so far.
Yeah, on the group chat though, it was like 3 fucking hours.
No, what happened was like, oh man, okay, I'm gonna knock this shit out. I was like, what the fuck, 188 minutes or something. But I'll talk about that once we get to it. But yeah, so that's how I felt going in.
Both me and Jared agree. He is top five. I mean, if anything, he's a top three American director working
He's fantastic.
right now. Yeah. I was shocked when reading his Wikipedia that he's married to Maya Rudolph. I didn't realize that. He's been more for a while. So there's two movies that we picked from Paul Thomas Anderson's filmography that Joe hasn't watched yet. Jared's pick is 2014's Inherent Vice, which is a solid pick because it also piggybacks to a movie that I initially did not like watching the first time around. I haven't seen it since its actual release. The second movie is 1999's Magnolia. This is his third picture following Boogie Nights. And it's probably the last big ensemble that he's done that we're kind of used to before going to more kind of specific focus character movies.
Johnny, what's your favorite Paul Thomas Anderson film?
The Master.
How'd I get down here?
You're acting aggressive because you drank too much alcohol.
So he is very big into kind of showing the different ranges of emotion of his characters, whether it be good or bad, playing good and light together. The Master is like the best example of it because Freddie Quill, which is Joaquin Phoenix's character, and then Lancaster Dodd, which is Phillip Seymour Hoffman's character, they're the same person. They're just on different sides of how they kind of react. And throughout that whole movie, you're trying to see if they can break out and be on their own without serving to one another.
The best part of that movie is at the very end where he's singing to him.
Yeah.
And Philip Seymour Hoffman is just looking at this guy being like, God, you don't know what you have. I wish I could be you and break away from this whole big machinery that whatever this is. And Joe, what do you like about his movies? Like, is there anything that draws you to him, or is it just, hey, I know the name, I know I'm going to get a good time out of this?
Quite the opposite. I'm nothing like you guys. I look at a movie and like, that's a cool looking poster. I'll check out
Cool.
the trailer and I'll watch the movie.
Hell yeah, brother.
Look, I mean, hanging out with you guys, I get the fact that, I should look at the director and who was produced by.
No. There's no should. It's how you consume. It's how you like to consume.
Okay, I'm
consume
saying
the media.
The way I've been consuming it's been changed as of recent, a little, not significantly, but it's very rare for me to be like, hey, that's made by Paul Thomas Anderson. Hey, I watched Punch Drunk Love. Hey, so therefore I like this. I mean, it's a smart way to look at movies, to be honest, and I completely agree with that. I do a very, very stupid way, a very simplistic and a simpleton's way of, that looks cool. Let me check out the trailer for about 2 seconds. Because I personally don't like watching the entire trailer because most of the time they give out everything. So I'll say, oh, that's a cool looking trailer. And I'll just maybe glance at maybe some reviews if it's a film that's been out for a little bit. Then I'll watch it.
Man, I am a sucker for flawed people in my movies and just kind of examining them, and that's really what he does. He takes just really either damaged or flawed, or in his old movies they were really damaged or flawed, and examine kind of aspects of them. His newer movies are kind of that, but way more in kind of like a personal, like Johnny said,
it's much more concentrated now.
Yeah, it's much more intimate, focusing on like a single subject versus an ensemble. And gosh, every time I see one of his films, I'm walking out of theater and being like, well, what the fuck? Well, I'm just going to have to see that again, huh?
Yeah.
Well, it's like this conversation I have with myself of, what did he mean by that? Huh? And I just go like, and I don't think I ever get that from another director, at least not off the top of my head. Scorsese's really good about just giving me pure distilled this. Same thing kind of with Spielberg. You know what you're getting, but with PTA, it's, well, okay. Like, or like in Magnolia, like he zooms in on this Masonic ring, and then they have the greeting that they do, and it's like, well, what the fuck? Like, what did he mean by that? Like, I just love feeling like that. And but yeah, so I chose Inherent Vice.
If it's a quiet night out at the beach and your ex-old lady suddenly out of nowhere shows up with a story about her current billionaire land developer boyfriend and his wife and her boyfriend and a plot to kidnap the billionaire and throw him in a loony bin,
I need your help, Doc.
Maybe you should just look the other way.
I love the feeling of like chasing. I mean, I'll say chasing the dragon because it fits with the theme of heroin in the movie, but just like barely being able to grab onto that rope that's kind of going by of the film and like keeping up with it. Because, and the whole thing about this movie is that the plot isn't important. That's like when people watch The Big Lebowski for the first time. The plot of this movie is less important than the sum of its parts. It's based on a Thomas Pynchon movie or a book, and I mean, he did it. He did so much. He did such service to that book that I really, really loved this movie. Joaquin Phoenix plays an amazing dude-esque character. Gosh, but my favorite character is Josh Brolin.
Moto Panakeku. Moto Panakeku. Moto Panakeku. Hi. Hi. Hi.
Because he's such a dick and he's a crazy maniac with such suppressed homosexual urges. It's so good. He plays that character so well. But really, this movie resonates with me because it's about that thing you can't shake, It's the old lady. It's your ex. It's whatever in life that you cannot shake, that always like a part of you is in them. And that's what it is with what's her name? Shasta, you know?
Played by Katherine Waterson. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, Katherine Waterson. God, sorry, I forgot her name. But he's always feeling, he gets mixed up in this because he can't, not do it. He can't shake his feelings for her. The movie, I think it's about I think Pynchon is the main character in the movie. I don't know if you guys have read much by him, but he's an absolute, like, it's the the dialogue in the film and the sense, the feeling of the film. That's how you feel while reading is one of his books. And I think Sportello is a 1-to-1 facsimile of them. That's why I chose this because it's a whole vibe. You get the whole Big Lebowski kind of vibe from it. There's this frenetic mood through it, and God, it's got one of the best cameo, or I don't know if you call it a cameo or whatever, by Martin Short that he's ever done. God, that was so good. But yeah, that's why I chose it. And I chose it kind of because Johnny, I know he said he didn't like it at first, and I wanted him to watch it again.
You got me to watch it again.
Hell yeah, brother.
Between the 7-year break, I will say that I have a much bigger appreciation for his filmmaking in this movie that I did not notice in the beginning.
That sweet tracking shot where they're running.
A lot of people focus on the plot, me included, when I first watched this movie, and it's just so incoherently doesn't make any sense. Even though I know that the minute I saw Josh Brolin on the TV, I'm all like, okay, this guy's going to be high half the time, so I can't really trust what he's seeing half the time. I have to go with it. But, this time around, rewatching it, I try to just let the movie take me to wherever it wants to take me.
You got to let it wash over you. It's like a bad trip. You just gotta experience it.
Yeah, and I think Joaquin Phoenix did an excellent job in his role. Katherine Waterson is so good. She's very limited, but she plays that role to the T of the one where it's kind of
she bats 1,000 in all the scenes she's in.
You're right. Martin Short was there. Josh Brolin was just hamming it up. But just like the Big Lebowski, I couldn't. With the Big Lebowski, though, for some reason, the characters overtook me. It's just that with this, it just didn't feel the same way. And I still have a problem that gets over it. So, do I recommend people watching it? Yeah, I kind of do, because the filmmaking is spectacular in this movie. Because I've noticed, just like I said, some of the tracking shots that he does, the music that he incorporates within this movie to set the mood for 70s LA was so good. It got me to understand what he was trying to do. I still couldn't get into the movie as much as I wanted, but I do have a bigger appreciation now about the filmmaking aspects of it, not so much the overall product that I was watching. But I will say that I was more curious now after leaving the movie than I was the first time I saw it.
Joe, what did you think of Lay it on me. It's fine.
Well,
it's a let me say this. It's a challenging film. It is not easy to watch because there's so much going on. You feel like you're taking drugs, not because it's so psychedelic and this. It feels like two people having a conversation at each other, talking about different things.
Do you guys remember in high school where, in English class, we would read a book and the teacher would go really in depth and stuff? And I would sit there being like, it's a book about King Arthur.
Yeah. Once a future king, baby.
That's how I feel about this movie. Talking to you guys.
Totally.
It's first of all, I was surprised that Joaquin Phoenix was still acting at this time. I was like,
yeah, because he had his weird thing.
Yeah, I don't know how that coincides. I don't know the timing of that, but I feel like it's either he's a great actor, which is my assumption of it, or two, it's just him high acting normally. I'm gonna go ahead and assume he's just a really good actor, which I actually believe because it's Joaquin Phoenix. So because how naturally he did it, I think. It's the storyline is interesting. It had like interesting like sexual scenes like that came out of nowhere. Like for example, when he was meeting up with the mob boss lady, I don't even know her name, and then like the lady just bends over in front of her. I'm like, what the fuck? Where the fuck does this even come from? And then he goes to like the massage parlor. She's like, you want to eat this pussy? I'm like, what the fuck? What?
That
What?
was by far the funniest scene.
It was just
It was so good.
was
That was
just-
the one time I actually laughed out really loud.
It was like injected straight into the middle of like it just came out of left field for me. But I do very much like and this is placed. I think this is the timeline in the 70s, right? So I think that the 70s theme was done very very well. It was very very cool, very very shagalicious.
So no, this is around. I believe. I don't think this was the 70s.
If it's not, then I got a big 70s vibe from it just because.
Oh yeah, it was 1970. Okay,
all right, fantastic.
Yeah, it was just about the time that heroin was making its way onto the scene, and it was really a bad time. It was about to be a bad time for people.
Well, maybe necessarily it didn't hit it didn't go all the way through, but I just thought that like in terms from I guess like a cinematography perspective, I think the music choice was very well done. The colors and the camera work was done really well because that's what I'm noticing. I thought that the dentist office being in a giant fucking building and he was being a pedophile creep was actually quite interesting. It just I forgot the guy that I think it's Martin Short that plays him.
Yeah,
but like I know Martin Short as something else. Like he plays like comedy roles, like weird, funky comedy roles. Not like a pedophile creep guy, so it's kind of out of left field for me for that guy. But just overall, all that kind of stuff, all that stuff outside of the core storyline, I liked more than the actual storyline because I was having a difficult time following the storyline.
Yeah, this like I said, you gotta just let it wash over you. Kind of like I said. It's kind of a noir. It's got that feel, but like, really, like, what's the plot of the Big Lebowski?
It's
a lot of mixed communication. Yeah, So if you ever feel like watching it, I watch this movie probably like once a year. I just get that
once
feeling
a
like,
year. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I get like that weird feeling of like, oh, let's watch Inherent Vice.
Okay.
And if you watch it just for the acting, just kind of take the scenes and just let it wash over you and put the plot in the back seat, you'll have a much better time with it because
I think that's how I watched it now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because what happened was, I'm like, all right, it's Joaquin Phoenix, and then Josh Brolin comes in, and then you have Benicio del Toro. I'm like, all right, this is pretty good. And then Reese Witherspoon. I'm like, what the fuck, Reese Witherspoon?
Oh yeah, buddy.
And then, like, let's go find this mysterious guy. It's fucking Owen Wilson. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then, so, all things considered, I was just more like watching. And you have Maya Rudolph being the receptionist for that weird-ass dentist or doctor or whatever. And you have Martin Short coming in as a weird-ass pedophile dude. And all sorts of things. So, I feel like this ensemble was... First of all, they got like $25 million for this movie. How'd they get $25 million for this movie? It's ridiculous. This cast is huge. It's massive.
Those people, so those actors know what they're getting into.
Okay,
so they don't take a lot of money. Yeah, a lot of them just love acting. So
I hope
like
so.
Maya probably knows some people and everything like that.
Oh, they just brought him in. Okay, all right.
They brought him in, or like, hey, do you want to be in a Paul Thomas Anderson movie? Yeah, sure. Like,
all right, that's fair.
Reese Witherspoon has fuck you money.
Okay,
like she doesn't need. Like
I figured Owen Wilson has fuck you movies.
Oh yeah, all those people do.
Yeah,
for sure, all those people do.
Plus, when you think about Paul Thomas Anderson, he has final cut in all his movies, and the reason why is because if the studio's like, okay, then we're only going to give you this much money, he's all like, I'll work with it, but he has final say in everything he does. So
I'm saying for a guy that's that successful, I feel like he should be allotted a bigger budget. You know what I mean? He's
not bringing in like Spielberg Nolan money though. Let's not get crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
true.
God,
Yeah. So yeah. Anyways, like I said, I had to reread the plot to follow it afterwards because I'm so like because it's just all over the fucking place, and I I have no idea what the fuck's going on half the time. Like he's banging all these chicks, and there's like a naked scene where she's just talking to him naked for like 10 minutes. And I thought, and there's like another theory that he's high this whole time. This whole thing was a dream.
Mhm.
There's like 19 ways to look at it. Anyways, the point is, I thought it was a pretty interesting movie overall. Will I watch it again? I don't know. But then again, I don't really rewatch a lot of movies. I think I'll look back at it fondly overall. But if someone else asks me, hey, did you watch Inherent Vice? Yes. Did you like it? Yeah. What was it about? I don't fucking know. Just some guy getting high. Some, PI getting high with a bunch of other people.
His biggest grossing movie was Phantom Thread. His only other movie that made money over its budget is Boogie Nights. The Master lost money. Oh, actually, no. There Will Be Blood made 76 million. So There Will Be Blood is his highest grossing.
That's the other thing. Right? He makes, apparently to me, masterpieces. Yeah. And this is what I'm going to say about both movies. And I don't know if this is me being old, and I'm not going to say anything about the other movie yet. I think, like, for example, as a kid, you probably like candy a lot and sugar. And as you grow up, your tastes mature, right? So watching this guy's film is like having like a sort of complex meal, for example, right?
It's a good analogy.
But I think Americans really like ice cream, right?
Oh yeah.
So Marvel's
ice
like
cream.
Yeah, Marvel's like a chocolate chip cookie with ice cream.
Put that sprinkles on there.
Yeah, and they'll just smash through that, and people will eat that shit up, and you make $1 billion. And there, I think too much of, and this is I feel like I'm an old man on a soapbox. There's too much of that in the theater where it's all sugar, 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 and there's not enough these like, this is a great film. And and a lot of the stuff he makes is a great film, but no, Americans just maybe not Americans, but people. I mean, people clearly vote with their dollar bills, right?
I find it like it's like a buffet. Some people love pizza buffet. Some people love going for that fucking pepperoni pizza, orange chicken,
okay,
whatever at the buffet. Other people love going to get like just like the prime rib or this or that. There's room for everybody. Like I know, yeah, okay. But the problem, but like the problem, not problem, but I mean, there's only so many of those you make if you're going to be losing money, unless you're a Paul Thomas Anderson who will bring awards and stuff like that. The gap between those art house films and the Marvel films are definitely getting.
All I'm saying
exponentially, yes.
That's true. All I'm saying is a single blockbuster movie can make up for like 10 of these movies, right? And you said you're losing money, but the production company or whatever, they're making hand over fist money. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. And this is, an investment, I think, that's well worth its money. And I'm very sad that a lot of his movies are barely breaking even, if that. And I feel like it should be a bigger exposure, but I could be wrong.
So Paul Thomas Anderson had a famous dad. His dad was a TV presenter. He was the voice of the Carol Burnett Show. And he's kind of like a cult classic kind of personality back in Cleveland. His dad's name was Ghoulardi, and that's Paul Thomas Anderson named his production company after, Ghoulardi Studio or Films or whatever. And that's kind of the setup for Magnolia. And you can kind of see it in this film. Like, he loves that era that he grew up in and his dad is from. And, but yeah, we'll let you go, Johnny.
So 1999 Magnolia comes out. I remember watching this movie for the first time freshman year in high school.
Yeah, right? Shit. I watched this super early too, and I can't remember what I thought of it.
And I couldn't process what I was watching. I just knew I was very enthralled with the movie. Now this movie is 21 years old now. It is the last big ensemble piece that Paul Thomas Anderson has done with this many players. It also is his longest movie to date and still is, because his movies average anywhere from 210 to 2.5 hours. This one is 3 hours and 8 minutes. It is a long movie. But I want to hear Joe first because, like you said, he thought he was going to pop in on Netflix, just Magnolia, and be like, all right, we're going to bang this out for tonight. And then he realizes there's 3 hours and 8 minutes of runtime he has to watch. So tell me what your thoughts of Magnolia are.
Funny thing is, the movie starts off with the three coincidences. That's insane. I have to assume these are true stories because I've definitely heard of these things before this movie, and I don't know if they're necessarily short stories or like weird things. But I figured these are like probably police reports saying this is the craziest shit to ever happen. I only have really one complaint about this movie, and it's not really about the movie. What the fuck is going on with the volume control in old movies? Why is it that whenever, and this is on Netflix, whenever there's like conversation, it's so low that I have to turn up the volume, right? And then like
subtitles all the time, baby.
Yeah, I try not to because I whenever I have subtitles, I just immediately just read everything. I guess that's the point of it, but I try not to do that. And the volume gets really, so I have to put it up to like 90, or I turn up the thing, and there's like a loud scene. I'm like, what the fuck? Why is it so loud? Turn it back down again. So the whole movie, I'm just going up and down, up and down. I'm like, I don't know if this came out in like 99. Bro, figure your shit out. Like, everything else was fine.
I mean, it's not even old movies. Like, it depends on which platform you're on.
Okay.
Netflix is pretty bad about it.
All right.
Amazon's real bad about it.
If that's the case, I will not hold it against this movie. Then I'll hold it against that. Whatever the case may be. This fucking annoying. So I was already a little bit frustrated. This movie is quite frustrated. Let me start off saying I love this movie. It's a great movie. 3 hours long. I didn't necessarily like, oh, it's taking so long. I watched it all the way through. It was awesome. Obviously, it's like a movie about shitty people being shitty. I was going to sort of...
That's an interesting take. Okay.
See, the thing is, I was thinking, oh, this is obviously like 50 different storylines going to come together. I thought it was going to come together like Crash would. Like, really? No. People are just fucking shitty. People are dying.
Dancing to that. Just no.
People are dying of cancer. Kids are pissing themselves. Tom Cruise being crazy in this movie was quite accurate, honestly.
But just like he wasn't acting; he was just him.
Yeah, that's him in the future, I guess. Just with shorter hair. So it's just, I thought that like it would be like one, like even the little black kid stealing from the wife or whatever, like he turns out a little bit shitty. I thought that I don't know. I feel like everyone in the movie had, I guess that's the theme of it, but like they have skeletons in the closet, I guess is the best way to put it.
What did you like about the movie? We'll go from there. What did you like about the movie?
I liked the way it was formatted. I think that it was presented like a lot of these people were struggling in different ways to get XYZ done, and it slowly peels back the curtains or the layers of the onion. So like, oh, turns out this guy's a giant sack of shit, or this guy had this problem, or this guy's dealing with this thing and whatever. And I think that the one thing I want to say is that because there's two guys that were dying of cancer or whatever, that they had giant regrets in their life. Like one completely ignored his kid and cheated on his wife, and the other one was dying of cancer and didn't know that he molested his daughter, or
he knew.
So it's a weird answer to give, because if your answer is, did you touch your kid funny? I don't know. That's
well, Joe, I mean, you gotta think, like, he was talking to his wife about it, like,
right. So that answer then, automatically seems like a yes. And
I mean, you didn't want to
obviously. So right. So what I'm trying to, the one thing I do want to say is, if you're dying of cancer and you have these regrets, I think that it is absolutely acceptable to people to hate you until you die. Like, I think it's 100% okay. Because Tom Cruise, when he saw his dad and he was like, fuck you, and he started crying a little bit.
You cocksucker, I know you can hear me. I want you to know that I hate your fucking guts.
The thing is, he still had some sort of emotion for his dad. If he truly hated his dad, he would just be completely deadpan. It's like, well, you deserve to die. Peace. Right? And the last thing I want to say, and you guys can have more discussion, I actually look. There was the kids show, the running show. There was some dude with the Bible verse up. Looked up the Bible verse. It's about frogs, and it ended with frogs.
That's
What are the fucking odds of that shit, man?
What do you mean? What are the odds of it?
No, of me.
It was. Oh, you.
Me. Like, no. So what happened was,
Okay.
yeah, it was in the audience. The guy's taking it away. I'm like, why the fuck is there a Bible
there's
verse?
It's also on a billboard at an earlier part of the movie.
I really missed it altogether.
Yeah, that's fine.
I
But
went to
that's
Google. I'm like,
repeated viewings to kind of
Wrath
see
of
that.
God and frogs. I'm like, okay, then it is what it. And then frogs start flying and stuff like that. So I would have probably looked back if the frogs came out of nowhere. I'm like, where the fuck is this coming from?
Joe, that made me very happy.
Yeah. So
who's your favorite storyline in Magnolia?
Oh God, I want to say John C. Reilly.
I'll be a good listener to you if that's what you want. And I won't judge you. I know I can do that sometimes, and I won't. And I can listen.
Yeah.
It's funny because he's like, my fuck up is I lost the gun, and it pales in comparison to everyone else's. He's sort of a constant throughout sort of thing, and I think I liked it. My least favorite is probably Julianne Moore. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure why. Like, she's like, I fucked a bunch of dudes and I was cheating on him and I feel bad, and he tried to commit suicide, all kind of stuff. I never really had any sympathy for her. Although I guess I didn't really feel sympathy for other dudes. And another thing is, I don't know why I think William H. Macy plays a really good gay guy. I don't know why.
Well, no, it's because he has that kind of repressed, like, something to him. There's something inside him.
You know what it is? Because I watched Shameless, maybe? I don't know. Maybe. It just, don't get me, he's a fantastic actor. And his acting in this movie was just very on point. Like, it seemed like it's something he would do. So, that's what I would say. And also, I don't know, just it was a very, very huge cast, because first of all, Patton Oswalt had such a tiny little, like they just bring people in. So, all right, we need you for a 15-second bit, and like, all right, let's do it. So so every 10 minutes I feel like, oh, it's a new guy, all sorts of things. So I thought that was really cool. But that's sort of my initial thoughts of the movie. But I liked it overall.
Paul Thomas Anderson wrote this film, or was writing it, shortly after his father died of cancer.
Whoa, did he hate his dad?
No.
Jesus, okay.
No, he loved his dad.
Oh, great.
But his dad was married to a woman like Julianne Moore in the movie. She had her own demons, and he felt really bad. She just couldn't take care of him, because that's a lot, taking care of somebody when they're sick, and that whole, like, what they go through. And he doesn't really begrudge that woman, but she met a similar fate as the woman in Julianne Moore. This whole movie is about his dad. Like, it is 100% his feelings about his dad, and how flawed people just kind of live their life. And, the quotes like, this is something that happens. And this, this is not just something that happens. And there's no coincidences. These people are interconnected. And, if you notice, like, the worthy people, the people who are good people, they get the happy endings in this film. Paul Thomas Anderson loves his flawed people in his movies. That's, and it's the same you could say for Boogie Nights. It's about family. It's about flawed people creating their own with damaged families, damaged backgrounds, awful childhoods, making their own family and coming together and doing this. And ultimately, the good people have an ending, have a happy ending. Same thing with Magnolia. These people are deeply, deeply flawed. Like, when he was filming that, like, I guess John C. Reilly came up to him. He's like, hey man, everyone just writes me in roles that I'm just a big dumb idiot. Could you give me something like where I fall in love, or like, is there romance? And he's like, yeah, sure. He put him as a big dumb idiot, but he did. He fell in love. Like, this. He's also said, he goes, yeah, boy, I would have edited the shit out of that if I made it now. He understands that it's too long, but there's this thing, there's that whole thing about grief, and you're going through it. And I totally understand why it's 3 hours long, because it's This is in my upper echelon of favorites from him, but it is not my favorite.
It was my favorite movie of Paul Thomas Anderson's until I saw The Master. I still have it at number 2. It is a long and emotional movie of a roller coaster. You're right about flawed people. A lot of this movie has to deal with anguish, pain, and repression of things that have happened. Each one has done it. John C. Reilly is a good example because I remember watching this movie. I did not like his character, but I didn't get why I didn't like him. But then when I started rewatching the movie again and again, I realized, oh, he is a cop. He does these things, but I never caught to the fact that he's either divorced or his wife died. And there's a reason for that. And so probably left, either cheated or something like that. And that kind of shapes the way he still continues to act, or more or less. The pace of this movie is much faster than some action movies I've seen, and it's because the score is so insistent. It
really is, isn't it?
It keeps you on there. That is, every moment that is happening now, and it barely lets you breathe a little bit. And when it does, you know that you're about to go on this kind of journey as well. I remember back in college when I rewatched this movie, I thought to myself, if I can trim this down to 2.5 hours, what would I do? I can't do it because for some reason, even though these stories are somewhat interconnected, if you remove one piece, for some reason, I don't think the movie flows the way it should as you kind of continue going along. I love both William H. Macy's character and the kid's character kind of be a dual opposite one another. I think this is still Tom Cruise's best movie to date. I don't think has acted as
Tropic
well.
Thunder.
Look, he's funny in that role. I'll give you that. But for some reason, long hair Tom Cruise is usually the best acting Tom Cruise when you really think about the movies that he's done, right? Vanilla Sky, I love him in Vanilla Sky. I think he's great. Say what you will about The Last Samurai. I think he does a fantastic job in that movie. Just the movie, whatever. But
hey, this is my PSA. The Last Samurai is not Tom Cruise. It is Ken Watanabe.
The perfect blossom is a rare thing. You could spend your life looking for one, and it would not be a wasted life.
And that's for...
This is like the Frankenstein's monster.
Good
right?
Lord.
2.0.
And so, and the funny thing is, I think the moment I knew that I was like, shit, this is like one of my favorite movies I've ever seen, is when they all break into song. And it was so unexpected, but it felt right. Like in the movie, it just felt right. Right? Joe, how did you feel when the frog started raining?
When it was, thing is, I looked up the Exodus whatever script when I first saw it, and I was like, I didn't really think much of it. And then the second the frog started raining, I think the first one, I forgot if it was the gun part or the hood part, but whatever the case may be, I was like, oh, wait a second, and I re-looked up I'm like, oh, frogs. I don't get it. Like, is it like a biblical thing where it's like Jesus hates fuck all you guys and just it gives them with frogs? If anything, it saved the dude's life, but I guess now he has to live with the fact that he's a shithead. I guess.
Yeah, so it's out of Exodus 8:2.
Okay, I mean,
and it's the part it's the Old Testament where Moses is to relay a message to the Pharaoh from the Lord, who says, if you refuse to let my people go, behold, I will smite all of your territory with frogs. So the river shall bring frogs abundantly, which shall go up and come into your house, into your bedroom, onto your bed, into the house of your servants, on your people, into your ovens, into your kneading bowls. And the climactic moment, we have a nod to this Bible verse. There were tons of Easter eggs going through it. Upon the rewatch, it's real fun to go back and see it because it's kind of obvious.
Second, third time, you're like, oh,
yeah,
I should have seen this. But yeah, that's what makes this movie so great. You completely forget about that stuff.
I love it's, so the frogs to me symbolize this whole, they're all interconnected. It's the frogs are a moment for them to kind of have reality of like, holy shit, frogs are coming from the sky. And the frog literally slaps William H. Macy in the face, Donnie's face, and knocks him to the ground, crushing his 2 front teeth, What was he trying to do with his 2 front teeth? He was trying to get braces. Like this, everything is a smack to reality for these people. It's not a coincidence that these frogs are falling from the sky. It's what they need. And, this is not just something that happens. You know what I mean? Like I'm not explaining myself very well, but
no, yeah. I get it. I think you're right by this. The raining of frogs kind of resets everybody. Mm-hmm. And it's funny. I linked it on our chat, but I was watching this Ebert review with him and another reviewer, and they both saw this moment differently. Like she thought everyone was going to have an epiphany, but since they didn't, she didn't like the movie. And I'm all like, but that's the whole point, because it shows that we're connected, but at the same time, it isn't going to change the direction of how some of these guys are going to go. She thought it was going to be, I bet she likes Crash a lot because everything had to get connected at some point. But I absolutely, it snaps you out of what was happening in the moment right then and there. And I think it was actually really good for it to happen, because you were thinking everything is going to crash course and everyone's going to meet together or something like that. And then the rain just resets the movie just for the ending.
Yeah. It's like, to me, the frogs are really representative of like the universe. It's cosmic. It's this divine power or whatever you choose. That's, hey, this is what's going on, slapping them in the face, allowing, it's an agent for change. Those are the words I was going for, because Tom Cruise's character's dad, he wakes up, he sees that his son loves him. It's a different, meaningful change for everybody that is sent from the universe. And it's not a coincidence that it's happening to all these people that are intertwined, or, it is a coincidence and it's not just a coincidence. It's both of those things at the same time, set up by the 3 stories in the beginning. It's at the same time a coincidence and not a coincidence. And that's what I love so much about this movie, is because it's so crazy like that.
It's funny because you know how you say Inherent Vice is like something you watch like almost every year. I'm not saying I watch this movie every year, but every couple of years I actually watch this damn movie. And I just absolutely love it. But yeah, you guys, I don't know if you guys have any last thoughts. Actually, I'll ask this, Joe. Since now you've seen 5 of his movies, what is your favorite among the 5 you've seen so far of his?
The thing is, they're so different. It's sort of like asking, like, do I like hamburgers or pizza? And ice cream for that matter.
So none of them is a steak.
Well, that's an example I'm trying to make here. So what I'm trying is, like, for example, I like steak for one reason, I like ice cream for the other. It would be. I think personally, I think it'd be silly to say, Magnolia is better than, I like Magnolia more than this because of this, but then I like this because of other reasons. I think that's a good thing about the director, I suppose, just because he seems like there's some consistencies through all his movies, but his range is quite wide. That being said, a 3-hour movie is still a 3-hour movie. You guys might disagree, but I think he could have gotten away with cutting out the kid completely and having William H. Macy's character just have flashbacks and say, "Oh, my parents were giant sacks of shit and they stole the whatever," and that could have been, I don't know.
He was telling everything in forward time, so you really couldn't do flashback, right?
So, or maybe just him talking about it, I suppose.
But I'll tell you why I don't think you can cut the kid, because the idea of Donnie, William H's character, talking about not having love that he can have. This is the same kid that his dad is just using him. And it's kind of contrasting between the two, because at the end, you know how, like you said, like maybe Tom Cruise sees Julianne Moore and be able to help her at the end. Or, John C. Reilly goes back to the girl and be like, hey, we want to try to make this work. Mm-hmm. This kid at the end goes to his dad and be like, you need to be nicer than me. And the dad's like, fuck you. He just goes to sleep. So there's certain things that are not going to change, even if you think that there's going to, and I think that's what I like, because there's always a couple of those moments at the end where you knew, like, even with this raining of frogs, stuff wasn't going to change with some of these characters.
I miss talking about it, but I loved the soundtrack to this movie. Amy Mann's stuff, the Supertramp stuff. The
soundtrack was great. I loved it.
So good. And Paul Thomas Anderson does such a good job with his soundtrack. Same thing with Inherent Vice. Inherent Vice had amazing music to it, and he really does a really good job of that.
All right, you guys. So I hope you guys like this episode. We're gonna keep doing a couple of these more because I think focusing on a couple of these movies, especially ones that Joe hasn't seen, I always love to hear either Joe or even me or Jared react to a movie that we've seen for the first time. That's always a feeling you can't duplicate or replicate, right? Once you see a movie, you can only see a movie once for the first time ever. And so I always enjoy hearing those moments. Joe, where can they find us?
Hey guys, I hope you guys enjoyed all this. You can find us at Film Lovers GTTG. Find us on Instagram, find us on Twitter. Hopefully, you guys have the 19 hours to spare to watch these two movies. And if you do, I highly suggest it. And this is coming from a guy that doesn't necessarily like long movies, but I thought it was a good investment of time. It was a very, very interesting, different way of looking at things. And like I said, you can't have sugar all the time. So I'd love to hear everyone's opinions, thoughts about all this sort of thing, and you may or may not agree or agree with me. So that's okay. So at Film Lovers GTTG.
You can find me at JLUTHY, J Luffy on Twitter. I talk about pro wrestling. I talk about movies. I talk about just general bullshit. Also, you can email us at filmloverspod@gmail.com. Send us some mail. We'll read it on the air. Yeah.
I'm going to be very interested Friday nights now, starting next week, Jared, because I'm only tuning in just to see if those two guys are actually going to be back.
That's fucking right. You know they are.
Because if they are,
bro,
me and Jared is going to have such a big thread about wrestling.
4 straight weeks, AEW has pulled in 1.1 million people, and they're beating Raw in the demo 18 to 39 males.
Bro, you fucked up.
Yeah,
you did. Yeah, so I am very excited. Me and Yoon, we're actually gonna watch it, and when Yoon is excited for wrestling, this is the best time. So because something big is about to happen.
It's a great time to be a pro wrestling fan. It is a great time to be a pro wrestling fan. Hop on it.
If you guys want to hear that or read my reviews on Letterboxd, you can see it all on my Twitter at JNGO11. Until then, Galaxy Brains, we'll talk to you next time.